Hello. Today I would like to offer a little bit of hope from the only place I know to find it, and that's in this book right here. I know that there is a lot of doubt and there's a lot of unbelief going on right now, especially because it seems like this COVID 19 thing is getting worse rather than getting better. So, since there's so much doubt and so much unbelief out there, I'd like to turn to a story in the book of John where Jesus specifically addresses doubt and unbelief. In John chapter 20, starting in verse 24, it says, Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, We've seen the Lord. But he said to them, Unless I see the nail marks in his hand, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hands into his side, I will not believe. A week later, the disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, Peace be with you. Then he said, Thomas, put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe. Thomas said to him, My Lord and my God. Then Jesus told him, Because you've seen me, you have believed, but blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book, but these are written that you may believe, and that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. See, what Jesus was doing here is he was preparing his followers to live faithfully after his return to heaven. Jesus addressed the challenge of doubt and unbelief. He knew there would be doubt and unbelief. Doubt and unbelief is nothing new. It's been going on ever since the creation. Adam and Eve doubted what the Lord said. They didn't believe what he said was true. They didn't believe that surely they would die if they ate of the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Surely you will not die, is what the serpent said. And they believed the serpent rather than the one that created them. So there's been doubt and unbelief since the beginning of time. You see, Thomas here, he is a realist. He knew that resurrections were not an everyday event. And he feared that his fellow followers of Christ may have wanted this to be real so badly that they could have made it up in their head. They wanted it so bad to be real that they could have gotten it wrong. See, Thomas wanted evidence. He demanded proof. It's easy to criticize Thomas for his doubt, but the truth is, many of us live with similar hesitation. After all, Jesus no longer is on the earth for us to see and for us to touch. I know when this whole COVID-19 thing started, we all wanted proof that it was as bad as they said. And the proof has showed up in the past few weeks with the number of people that have been affected by this, the number of people that have perished because of this. And it's sad that that's what it took. Yet we can't have the same experience that the first disciples had. They got to walk and talk with Jesus after the resurrection. So what we need for Jesus to come in and take over. We need him to prepare us for the challenges of skepticism and doubt in our own lives. So what does Jesus say to his struggling followers? He just says, stop doubting and believe. Like I said, we may not have the opportunity to feel the wounds of the cross with our own hands, but we do have the testimony of lives changed by the power of the cross. By what happened on the cross, lives have been changed, and that is just as powerful. See, we can seek out the fellowship of our fellow believers in the church, and we can be encouraged by their words. We can watch for the glory of Christ to appear in our own lives and in the lives of those around us, and we can join with Thomas in that beautiful confession, my Lord and my God. May the ascended Christ prepare you today to meet the challenge of doubt with the blessing of faith. Because like I said, there is a lot of doubt and unbelief going around right now. But faith is more powerful than that. The cross is more powerful than that. Salvation and hope is more powerful than that. So if you're struggling with doubt, if you're struggling with unbelief, or if you know someone who is, I would encourage you to pray a prayer like this that I'm about to pray, or encourage your brothers or sisters to pray a prayer like this, just start out talking directly to God and acknowledging your doubt. Just tell him, Lord, I know sometimes it's hard to believe. It's hard to have trust, and it's hard to have faith, because let's face it, he already knows. He knows what you're feeling and what you're thinking. Confess that we live in an age of doubts and lies, and we know that our feeble human minds constantly demand proof. But if we believe, you promise us, God, that you will save us from unbelief. Pray to God to fill you with faith. Pray to God to fill you with hope. And pray to God to fill you with love that only he can provide. And most importantly, pray that in his son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.